Welcome into the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. On today's show, get you caught up on some of the news around training camp and a signing that was made. Stay tuned for that here in just a little bit. But the focus of today's show is Orlando Brown and a holdout, which is coming on here pretty quickly because he did not report to training camp, which means he is officially in holdout mode. The question is, how long will he hold out? I think he might skip all of training camp. Now, at some point, he's going to have to show up because he's under the franchise tag, which he hadn't signed yet, but he doesn't really have any leverage in not showing up because if he wants a big blockbuster deal, he's got to show up, play, and play well this year. Now, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have talked about this situation. Here's what Mahomes said a few days ago, saying, quote, obviously we wanted to get the deal done. I'm sure he wanted to get the deal done, everything like that, but at the end of the day, we're going to go out there, play football, and I'm excited for him to be here and be a part of the team again. Hopefully he does join the team at some point in time. Andy Reid had said this a couple of days ago. I'll just revisit this quote. I don't know whether he's going to be here or not. Obviously he's not. He says if he's not, we move on. That's how we've done it in the past. This isn't my first time I've been through something like this. My thing is we just go. Whoever the next guy that is going to step in there, we know Joe Thuney can do it in a heartbeat. So if we need to go in that direction, we can go in that direction. We've got some new faces in there that can also do it. Now, I do expect Orlando Brown to be ready to go week one and to play week one, but it is very possible that he skips all of training camp and all of the preseason. Now, I would argue that Orlando Brown doesn't need training camp, doesn't need the preseason, but again, if you're Orlando Brown, you should be putting your best foot forward to put yourself in the best position as possible to get a massive contract next offseason. Otherwise, we're just in the same place a year from now. Will Orlando Brown skip all of training camp? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Y for yes, N for no. Will Orlando Brown skip all of training camp? Now, the Chiefs have made a signing. They are signing a Hard Knocks star. We will talk a little bit more about this deal later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, help us reach 31,000 subscribers here on the Chiefs Report. We're just over 300 away. If you want more training camp news, rumors, notes, updates, injury reports that will inevitably pop up throughout training camp, this is the channel for you. So hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Do not go anywhere. Also, turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. All right, let's stick with the Orlando Brown theme before we get to the Chiefs signing. Some Orlando Brown replacement. So if Orlando Brown's going to hold out and at least miss all of camp, if not, let it delve into the regular season. I hope he doesn't, but if he does, well, there are some guys out there. Number one, a very familiar face, Eric Fisher, who is still only 31 years old. He, of course, was with the Chiefs up and through the 2020 season, tore his Achilles in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs released him for salary cap purposes. Played last year with the Indianapolis Colts, was okay. I think, didn't play his best football coming off that Achilles. I am surprised, though, that he is still available because I think he can still be a starting caliber left tackle in the NFL. Obviously, he's not as good as an option as Orlando Brown, and none of these guys are as we break some of these players down here on the Chiefs Report. But Eric Fisher knows your offense. He's familiar with this coaching staff, and he's at least a guy you're like, okay, we're comfortable with him. We know Eric Fisher. He can step in and play at a decent level. Now, I assume he wants a job where he's going to be a 17-game starter, and not necessarily a potential backup when Orlando Brown returns, but he is an option if the Chiefs want to go in that direction. How about Jason Peters, who is 40 years old now, but he was pretty good for the Chicago Bears last year, and Peters recently did an interview with SiriusXM NFL Radio and said that he is staying in shape, wants to play another year. He's waiting for that phone call to come. If you don't remember, last year he didn't get signed by a team until about 2.5 weeks into training camp. He was actually on a fishing boat down in the South somewhere when he got a call from Ryan Pace at the time, the Bears GM, new GM's Ryan Poles, and said, hey, we need you to play left tackle. He said, okay, cool. Strapped up in the final preseason game and played pretty well. Was probably the Bears' best offensive lineman last year. He said he's open to playing for a contender, for a rebuilding team. He'd like to play for another year. Maybe this is the right situation to be a steadying presence until Orlando Brown comes back, and then he can be a backup for this team. And you've got the Andy Reid connection. Jason Peters and Andy Reid go way back. I think it would be kind of cool if Peters ended his career with Andy Reid, the head coach he spent several years together with in Philadelphia. So you've got that connection as well. He should be able to come in and pick up things from a schematic standpoint pretty darn quickly. So Eric Fisher, Jason Peters. How about Duane Brown, who's 36 years old now? A bit of a trickier one here because Brown did recently get arrested at LAX with a gun there, a felony gun charge. So got to wait for that to play out. But hell, Uzi Clark had the same thing happen last year out in California, and that didn't seem to be a problem. So I think you could work through the legal ramifications here with a guy like Duane Brown. It's hard to say which of the options are best. Obviously, Eric Fisher knows this team and franchise the best. Jason Peters knows Andy Reid really, really well and should know this offense. Duane Brown, you could argue, could be the best on-field option out of these three. So you really can't go wrong if you do want to sign one of these free agent tackles just to give you some security while Orlando Brown is not with the team. And then also Lucas Niang is banged up too at right tackle, so maybe one of these guys can give you some help over there as well. So pick one to sign. Type EF for Eric Fisher, type JP for Jason Peters, or you can type DB for Duane Brown. Let us know which player you would prefer that the Chiefs sign. All right, you look at this offensive line depth chart. Obviously, Orlando Brown not currently with the team. Lucas Niang banged up. But you focus on left tackle. It's not like the internal options are great. I know Andy Reid mentioned Joe Thuney, but if you move him over, then you got to plug in someone at guard, which you could do. You could put Andrew Wiley there at left guard, Darian Kennard, Nick Allegretti, some options for some guys who have played a little bit, not as much in Kennard's case because he's a rookie all the way. But the internal options at left tackle aren't ideal, right? It's like you're not replacing Orlando Brown with one single person, I don't think. So, again, hopefully he's back. Hopefully he gets ready to go for week one. If he misses camp and plays week one and plays well, I don't think anyone's really going to care that he skipped training camp. But we'll have to wait and see if he shows up for week one. Hopefully he's back before then and spend some time with the Chiefs during training camp. All right, let's get to the signing that we teased earlier. Tom Pelissero broke the news. Former Cowboys defensive end and Hard Knock star Azur Kamara is signing with the Chiefs per source. He was one of the few entertaining players for the Cowboys on Hard Knocks last year. Otherwise, Hard Knocks was kind of a dud, if I'm being honest. Likely just a camp body here, for being completely honest. I think he has 3 tackles in his NFL career. He's been in the league a couple of years, so not much to break down here. I don't think Azur Kamara solves your defensive end problem. You're still pretty thin here with Frank Clark, George Karlaftis, and Michael Dana as kind of your 1-2-3 punch. We'll see if Josh Kando is ready for a bigger role this year. But I would still very much be in the camp of signing another defensive end. I would very much like to see that happen, as, again, I don't think Kamara signing is like, oh, you're good at off the edge now, your pass rush is loaded. No, I don't view that as the case at all. But it's a bit of a piece of news here that we wanted to bring to you guys on today's show. Do the Chiefs still need to sign a defensive end? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I absolutely think that they do. Whether they actually do it remains to be seen as training camp gets going here. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. More training camp news and rumors coming your way throughout the week. So go ahead and subscribe, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you soon here on the Chiefs Report.